Let's be honest. Holidays can feel kind of like a war zone for your fitness goals, okay? Christmas, especially. I think Thanksgiving is right up there with it too. But you walk into a family gathering and suddenly there's just a battlefield of pies and cookies, creamy casseroles, and foods that you pretty much don't see or even think about all year, all vying for your attention all at once. But here's the thing, you don't have to actually choose between enjoying the holidays and staying on track with your goals, believe it or not. Drop a yes in the comments if you've ever felt like the holiday eating was kind of an impossible balancing act. I know I have, many of my clients have as well. And what I want to do is to help you to overcome that so that you can actually get through the holidays without gaining weight, but you can also get through the holidays without feeling deprived or feeling guilty because of the foods that you had. So, what I want to kind of go through is a couple different things that I painted a picture with my clients over the years, and hopefully this will help you as well. I'm going to go through it pretty quick because I've got a lot of stuff to go through in my notes here, and I want to make sure that I cover all of this stuff with you guys. So, very first thing I want you to do is to imagine walking into an all-you-can-eat buffet with a plate that's already half full, okay? You've got no plan, no idea what's on the menu, and before you know it, your plate's filled, just piled, filled with food, so high that the food is toppling off. This is kind of how I did my holidays for years, okay? So that's how most people approach holiday eating as well. And they've got no strategy, just grabbing pretty much whatever looks good in the moment. And by the time they sit down, they're absolutely stuffed, feeling guilty and thinking, well, great, I've blown it. And this really isn't because of a lack of willpower or discipline. It's really just because of a lack of a plan and really trying to not understanding why this happens and what's going on. Now, picture this instead. You walk into that same buffet, but this time you've got yourself a game plan. You scan the options, you pick the dishes that you really, really want, and you take just enough to enjoy without overloading your plate. You leave feeling satisfied, satiated, you're not overly stuffed, and you're actually proud that you stayed in control. The holidays really work the same way as what we're describing here. It's all about going in with a plan so that you can enjoy the celebration without regret. And if you go in there as a free for all, you're going to find out that a lot of your habits that you have that you've not worked on and refined, the worst of those habits are going to come out during the holidays because normally we walk around feeling so stressed out 24/7, mind bogged down. And if you're carrying extra weight that you don't want to, the holidays remind you of that extra weight. So you go into the holidays thinking like, well, I want to enjoy myself, but I don't want to walk away gaining a ton of weight. And it kind of is this just conflict that you walk in with, okay? So here's how to enjoy the holidays without feeling deprived. Very first thing is that you want to do this without gaining weight and without guilt, okay? So the very first thing is you got to plan ahead. Bottom line, you got to plan ahead. So a few days before a holiday event, what we teach our clients is you want to store up some macros or calories, however you want to call it. If you're tracking your food, you should be really, unless the weight is off and you've got the intuition or the food intuitive eating dialed in, you do want to track your food to some degree, okay? So you want to store up your macros or your calories by slightly reducing your intake for a couple of days. You don't want to starve yourself, but just reducing your food intake or at least making sure you're not overindulging before then is going to help you. This is going to give you a little wiggle room or what we call margin to actually indulge a little bit more to enjoy the foods on that day. Now, on the day of, normally what we're going to teach is you want to eat lighter earlier. So for me, I normally will do like an egg white protein shake with some carbs in the morning, and then I'll do like a light lunch that's protein and carbs for lunch, unless it's a Christmas lunch. The reason I do this is not to treat myself poorly, but it's so that I have got all the room for more fats and carbs later. I don't need to save room for protein because that's normally the part where most people don't choose enough of. So I'm going to knock out my protein for the day as much as I can, and I'm going to choose healthy fiber-dense carbs early on so that I've got room for more of the sugary stuff later because this is not normally what I do, okay? So you want to stick to protein and veggies so you can save your calories for the main event, if you will. Now, you want to be strategic at the event. So what I like to recommend is drink a protein shake before you head out. I know that sounds crazy, but this keeps you from showing up ravenous and grabbing everything in sight. Plus, protein's going to keep you feeling fuller longer. It's also going to help you to burn more calories. I'm not going to get into the thermic effect of feeding, But by you having protein on the way, it's going to keep you from needing to choose proteins while you're there. So if they don't have enough proteins, you're not behind the eight ball as soon as you start. All right. This is going to help you so that you're like, ooh, this looks good and that looks good, but you're not coming from an empty stomach where you're like, oh gosh, I need it all and I need it right now. And I've been there, and that's where most people start off with. Okay. So with that being said, you want to choose one plate of food. Yes, just one. And you want to focus on your absolute favorites for this first time going around. Now, if you're still hungry, go back for seconds, but make sure it's true hunger and not boredom or emotion or coming from scarcity because you're going, well, I don't get to eat this. And come Monday, I'm starting my weight loss program and I won't get to eat it then either. So I better just eat all I can. Stop, stop, stop. That is scarcity mentality, and you're already starting in a way that's not going to be conducive to long-term weight loss and fitness enjoyment, which means you're going to regain it all back later. So stop that, completely stop that, and instead, I want you to begin focusing on, okay, when I start my new weight loss program, if I choose the right one, my coach or my program, it's going to allow for flexibility. It's going to allow me to eat some of the foods that I normally would have considered to be off limits in other diets, but I'm going to do this the right way this time. So I'm not going to get in the scarcity mindset and tell myself, I better eat it all today because come Monday, I don't get it anymore. Wrong, wrong, wrong. And if that is what you're doing, that's why you're regaining the weight. Stop it today, okay? All right. Now, the other thing is that you want to get your calories from foods and not drinks. Why? Because drinks are usually going to be empty calories. They're not going to fill you up, and it's going to basically waste the calories that you would most likely want to choose with food if you're thinking clearly and logically. Eggnog might taste great, and boy, do I love it. My goodness. But it's not going to be as filling, and those calories just add up so quickly for not a lot of actual nutrition. So you end up still craving the same amount of foods as you would have had you not drank the eggnog. So when you get your weight off, when you get to a point where you've got all this stuff dialed in, be my guest on the eggnog. I am going to have it, but it's because, and my clients will have it too, but it's because we've got the structure in place. I have to assume you don't have that right now. So I'm going to tell you, go ahead and avoid the liquid calories this year until you get on my plan or until you get on a plan that allows you structured flexibility to get the results you want, but while enjoying your foods, okay? So for now, we're going to avoid it, but not permanently. Now, part 3 of this is going to be that you've got to shift your mindset. Holidays are not about the food. Yes, the food's there and it's great and I want you to enjoy it, but don't make your holiday celebration like I've done, where you show up and you're just thinking like, who cares who's there? All I care about is I want an apple pie and I want some cherry pie and I want to make sure that there's going to be some of that chocolate that Aunt so-and-so brings. And oh man, and I haven't had, the stuffing and whatever. Basically, you're having daydreams and fantasies about food before you even get there. And this is just loading you up so that you're emotionally ready and ravenous to just start just piling down foods. Not a good plan to go through. So if you instead switch your mindset and you start to realize holidays are about the people, the memories, the celebration. If it's Christmas, it's, focusing on the fact that it's celebrating the birth of Jesus. It's not about food. Food just makes it a little bit better while you're there if that's your focus. If to enjoy and to be able to get the most out of it, food is there for that, but it is not the center of the reason you're there, okay? Now, with that being said, we want to remember that you're not there to worship the buffet, you're not there to worship the food, and you're not there to make it at the center of the celebration. Otherwise, this means that you are going to walk away feeling bad, you are going to walk away with more weight, you are going to walk away feeling more swollen, and with all of this, usually is going to come guilt, shame, and all the things that go with this stuff. So if you switch your mindset to go, you know what? I'm not going to make this all about food this year. Yes, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not going to avoid foods, but I'm also not going to make food the center of the celebration. That in and of itself is going to help you so tremendously. So don't treat the holidays as some sort of last hurrah for certain foods. If you're doing that, again, that scarcity mindset is what makes you overeat. It's the fear that you don't get what's in front of you again, so you better overindulge. That mentality is only there based on the things that you might have done in the past with weight loss. Well, I've done Beachbody. This wasn't allowed. I've done Weight Watchers. I've done Jenny Craig. I've done Metafast, and it's back to shakes, back to this. If that is the modality that you're using to lose weight, that's why you've got this unhealthy relationship with food. Okay. Can I get an amen? This is where I've been. This is where a lot of you live today. And I want to help you to overcome that. So instead of you looking to me to just give you a little tip on just do a little portion of this and you're done, I don't want to do that. I want to help you to change everything from the inside out so that you are seeing holidays and food in a totally different light. I enjoy all the foods that I want. I do not have a lack of. I have plenty of margin, but the difference of where I was compared to, or where I am now compared to 15 years ago, 15 years ago, I was doing the cheat meal and cheat day thing, and holidays were definitely a cheat day. So this was basically a free for all day for me to indulge. And what happened is I would eat so much because I didn't have a good structured plan. I would gain 5, 6, to sometimes even 10 pounds on a holiday alone. And then everything that I did the whole month of December was totally a wash. If you've been there and you don't want to do that, we've got to change things from the inside out. And that means stop looking for just a weight loss tip for working out and a weight loss tip for food, and instead start looking for structure foundationally that comes from the inside out. Because if you only change things from the outside in, which is I'll just eat a little bit less, I'll just avoid that this year, whatever that is that you might be doing, you're not going to actually have permanent changes. You might be down a little bit weight, and you might also just feel miserable and then go, screw it. I can't do this. I'm watching all these people eat the foods that I want, and I'm tired of this. And that always happens because of the fact that you are in that scarcity mentality, scarcity mindset, and you see foods as either bad or good, and therefore off limits foods are only on limits on days like holidays. When you do my program, the Joyfully Fit 365 program, you are joyfully fit 365 days a year because you have a structure in place. This is no longer I'm going to do this for 75 days and go hard. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do this 90 days where I do this and I'm just fantasizing about day 91 where I'm done with the weight loss and I finally made it. No, you haven't made it. You've only made it whenever you now have the structure and discipline and habits to not only eat the right foods that allow you to be nourished, but you also have the discipline, willpower, knowledge, structure, whatever you want to call this, to know how to fit in cookies, pie, cake, to go to a wedding, a funeral, and to eat what they've got there, and to know how to do it without derailing your progress. And that's what we teach in Joyfully Fit 365. If you're not doing it that way, you are going to be in reactive mode indefinitely, which means that you're always going to be avoiding foods, then overloading, then avoiding, then overloading. It's just back and forth. This is the weight loss diet, the weight loss cycle that most people just gain, lose, over and over and over and over again, and it sucks. It just doesn't do well. So you can have these foods again another time, just not all at once. That's the key. Okay. Now, for after the holidays, don't guilt yourself. One day of indulgence doesn't derail your progress unless you let it, or unless you just absolutely do what I used to do, where it's not just a day of indulgence, it's a day to basically eat like the old Romans used to do, where you're eating so much that you've got to throw up and make room for more. Yes, that's gross, but that's what they did. Don't do this. Don't eat so much that you need to do something like that to make room for more. This is why you feel the way that you do on holidays usually, okay? But if you approach the holiday totally different and you go into the holiday knowing that you get to indulge a little bit and that you get the foods that you want, but it's mainly about enjoying the time with others and enjoying the time off work and all of this stuff, now you indulge, but you're not doing so to such a degree that you feel like you've got to, say a prayer because you feel guilty afterwards, okay? This is what we want to make changes for. So the key is getting right back to your routine the next day. So for my clients, a lot of them, what they're doing is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, they're going to get a few more calories than what they normally get if they're in a fat loss zone, because basically if you're in a fat loss deficit, which is several hundred calories under your maintenance zone, if I put you back at your maintenance zone, you're not losing weight, but you're not gaining it. This is a structured plan. That means you get more food than what you normally do if you're in a weight loss program, but yet so you're going to feel like you're overindulging, but yet the consequences aren't really consequences. The consequences are I may be up a pound and it'll only be water retention. And the consequences are I may not lose as much fat on Christmas and Christmas Eve, but I'm also not gaining it. And that's a great place to be at, all because of structure. Okay. So, just to recap, number one, plan ahead. Make sure that you're storing ahead some macros or calories. Macros are just short for macronutrients, which are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Secret hidden macronutrient is alcohol. We call it a hidden one because it has no nutritional value. But each of these macronutrients are worth a certain amount of calories. Protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. Fats are 9 calories per gram. Alcohol is 7 calories per gram. When you know this stuff, all you simply know is that these macronutrients, when you eat a certain amount of them, they obviously add up to a certain amount of calories. And if you're focusing on protein and the right macro ratios, you're going to be within your calorie zone goal and yet enjoying the foods that you want. And this is exactly what we teach. Now, if you have questions where you want to learn a little bit more about macronutrition, some of the rules for eating, I do have something for you. If you want to join the Joyfully Fit Insiders Club newsletter, number one, as soon as you join, you're going to get my PDF, which is it's called Freedom Focused Fat Loss, and it's 10 rules that are absolutely must-know rules to help you to dial in the foundation so you can lose fat in a way that it doesn't come back because you're eating foods that you enjoy, meaning flexibility. And you're talking about a lifestyle instead of a short, quick fix style that everybody normally goes to, okay? So if you're ready to survive the holidays and keep making progress towards your goal, that's what's going to help you. The Joyfully Fit Insiders Club newsletter, I'll put the link below. It may be in the description box right now, and you're going to get that free PDF as a bonus as soon as you get this. And the thing of it is, my free newsletter, where I share strategies on to help you lose weight and to keep it off year round, not just during the holidays. There's so many different things that you're going to learn in this newsletter. What else you're going to get? Simple tips for staying consistent without feeling deprived. That's pretty important. Strategies for navigating events, social gatherings, travel, vacation, all of this stuff. Practical advice to make fitness fit into your life, not the other way around. And you may not know it, but when you're doing MetaFast and Nutrisystem and all of these meal plans and you're doing Weight Watchers and all of this, basically what you're doing is you are trying to make your life fit into some sort of fitness rules. And if you weren't, you wouldn't be looking forward to the end of said dates when you're ready to be done with this. What I'm offering is for you to learn how to do what I do, which is living like a fitness coach. I don't diet. I don't do fad diets. I've done them all, but I don't need to. I don't need to go blast through cardio, and I don't need to do a 90-day challenge. I don't need to do any of these quick fix ways. And just to paint a scenario, most of you guys who are successful in your career, whether you're a nurse, you're an architect, you're a doctor, or you're a business owner, you did not get to the success you got to by doing things the way that you typically do with your health and your fat loss. Meaning that with your health and fitness and fat loss, you treat this as something that basically is like, I got to do this for 90 days because I've gained some fat. You don't see it as like, I gained fat because I've got bad habits and I need to correct those habits. Instead, you're like, I want to come back to I'm going to do the things that are causing the fat loss again. So for 90 days or 120 days, I'm going to go do this stuff where I'm miserable for 90 days, but then I'll get right back on my thing again. And it may be a year before I gain it. Screw that. Who wants to regain weight after putting in that effort? And who wants to put in so much effort to get the weight off in 90 days instead of just learning the right way? It would be like me coming to you and saying, hey, I noticed that you're a doctor and you've gotten success. I know it took you 10 years to go through school and to learn how to do this, to learn how to run a business, but I would like to get your same success in 90 days. What do you have for me? They'd like, what I have for you is a guffaw. I want to laugh. Get out of here. And so what you're doing is you're choosing something that would never be approved in your field of interest for your career or business, and you're allowing yourself to do that in fitness, weight loss, and health. And your health is something that, again, you only get really one shot at it. So I would say don't opt to do again, most people call them get rich quick schemes for careers where you're trying to cut corners. I'm going to say don't do a get fit quick scheme either. because this is where you cut corners and you're looking for something that basically is a result as if you put in long-term good healthy habits and put in the work, but you're trying to do it in a fraction of the time with more work, knowing that it's not going to fit into your lifestyle and you won't be able to keep up with it long term. It just doesn't make any sense to do this. Most people also think that when they see me eating certain foods, they're thinking, oh, that must not be on his plan and he's cheating. No, not at all. I'm not cheating. And if you would learn how to incorporate those foods that you normally consider cheat foods or indulgences into your fitness lifestyle, this is how my clients and I stay fit without doing diets, without doing cardio sessions all the time and all this stuff. It's because we're finally going, you know, I would rather go a little bit slower to lose some of this, but I want to do it in a way where I'm not miserable. I get the foods that I want and I learn how to keep this weight off. And the cool thing is when you do this the way that I teach it, you go through your fat loss zone where you're at a calorie deficit, and then afterwards you follow it up with what's known as a metabolism phase. So you go fat loss phase, calorie deficit, to metabolism phase, which is where you are actually increasing your calories so that when you're done with your fat loss, you're back, you bring up those calories again so your body can support it. And now you're able to maintain your weight with more calories, which means that you have more freedom. And if you do it the way that I teach, the 80-20 rule, 20% of those calories, which is more than what you're used to, you're going to be able to choose for cheeseburgers, fries, a beer, wine, whatever it might be for you instead of avoiding. Now, doesn't that sound much better? Instead of just doing a diet where you slow down your metabolism, you cause your calories to be super low, and then as soon as you go back to normal where you're eating more regular foods again, you regain it. I don't like that version. I don't want to do it. So this is why I'm imploring you to do it the way that I've taught my clients to do it, which is where you're going to be in a fat loss phase for a bit, and then you're going to get into a metabolism phase to increase those calories up so you get more food, and thusly you're able to keep up with the weight loss without being in the gutter for calories, which means you're able to keep it off for much, much longer with more variety, more flexibility, okay? So go ahead and click the link below in the description box, and you're going to, or you can drop the word insider in the comments, and you're going to get sent everything that I just described, which is going to be that Insiders Club newsletter, plus the freedom focused fat loss PDF, which is going to be 10 rules that you absolutely must know in order to lose the weight over 35 and keep it off. Okay. So remember, the holidays are more than just food. They're about joy, they're about connection, celebration, building memories, and practicing what you're learning throughout the year. If you're learning how I'm teaching clients, which is again, how to eat for health in a way that not only weight comes off, but stays off, and you get to enjoy life, okay? Fitness is not the center of my life or any of my clients, but it does amplify the quality of our lives, and that's what I want to offer you as well. So you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be mindful. You need to plan ahead, enjoy what you love, and keep moving forward, but you can't do that without structure. So what I want to know from you guys is, what's one holiday food that you just have to have this season? For me, I know that I've got to have, Lauren, my wife, is cooking some apple pie. It is Dutch apple pie, or also known as, what is the other? There's like cinnamon apple pie. Sometimes it's known as, there's one other thing it's known as, and it slipped my mind. But this apple pie is absolutely delicious. I love it. I will absolutely need this. So as I've explained for you guys, I will be eating light on Christmas Day until it's time for food for some of the celebratory foods. And this way here, I'll be able to eat my pie and eat some of the other foods that are prepared, and I won't go over my, quote, macro or calorie budget in the slightest, okay? Let's see. I wanted to know one other thing too. Oh yeah, that was another thing too that I was going to put is mashed potatoes are always a thing that I love. Some form of potatoes I pretty much have to have every season too. So let me know in the comments what's one food that you just can't live without when it comes to the holidays, or at least Christmas. We'd love to hear from you on that too. But be sure to check the link in the comments, or the link in the description box, whichever one you might see it, depending on which platform you're on. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the newsletter and after the holiday. Thanks you guys so much for tuning in,